The television series A Thousand Blows has brought to life the gritty, visceral world of 19th century boxing, introducing audiences to a cast of characters who are as complex as they are compelling. Among them is Henry Sugar Goodson, a boxer portrayed as a kind of mob boss ruling over the seedy streets of Victorian East London. In the show, Sugar Goodson is portrayed as a fierce and determined fighter, a man who rises from the rough streets of London to make a name for himself in the brutal world of bare-knuckle boxing. Interestingly, the real historical Sugar Goodson had only one eye for much of his fighting career, while A Thousand Blows portrays Sugar with both eyes intact, opting to focus on his fighting prowess rather than this unique aspect of his real-life story. One theory surmises that Henry Sugar Goodson's distinctive one-eyed appearance was likely the result of a battle with smallpox in 1881, which could have caused severe ocular complications leading to the loss of an eye. As we'll see in this video, this physical setback did little to hinder Sugar's boxing career, during which he competed in both middleweight and occasional heavyweight matches, showcasing remarkable resilience. So how does the man from history compare to the character on your television screen? To answer these questions, we must delve into the life and history of Henry Sugar Goodson, a man whose story encompasses triumph, tragedy, and the unyielding spirit of a working-class fighter, revealing a legacy far richer than fiction. Henry Goodson was born on February 19, 1856, in Seven Stars Yard off Brick Lane in the immigrant neighborhood of Spitalfields, London. His father, Edward Goodson, was a master carman driving horse-drawn vehicles for a living, and his mother, Sarah, raised a large family of 13 children. Life in the East End of London during the mid-19th century was far from easy, and the Goodson family was no exception. But it is not historically accurate that Sugar grew up in a workhouse. While life in the East End of London during the mid-19th century was undoubtedly challenging, the Goodson family appears to have been a working-class household rather than one that resorted to the workhouse system, as portrayed in the show. His father's business provided a means of livelihood for the family, and Henry's early involvement in boxing suggests that he had some degree of stability and support, at least enough to pursue training and sparring in local boxing pubs. In fact, just like in the show, Henry Sugar Goodson grew up in the world of bare-knuckle boxing, playing an active role in the sport's development and popularity within London's East End. The Goodson family was heavily involved in the East End boxing scene as a family tradition that not only sustained the family financially, but also shaped their cultural identity. In his early years, under the mentorship of Denny Harrington, a respected member of the East End boxing circle, Henry honed his skills. He sparred at renowned boxing pubs such as the Mile End Gate Tavern. When the patriarch Edward Goodman died in 1877, the family's haulage business was inherited by the eldest son, Edward Benjamin Goodson. This enterprise not only continued to operate, but also offered jobs to Henry and his siblings, including Thomas Goodson, who, like Henry, ventured into the boxing ring. Henry and Thomas were both celebrated figures in the realm of bare-knuckle boxing. Henry, dubbed Sugar, and Thomas, known as Treacle, were integral to the East End's vibrant boxing culture. Henry, despite his physical challenge of having only one eye, earned a reputation for his boxing prowess. Thomas's boxing journey lasted from 1879 to 1884, while Sugar impressively continued his fights well into his 60s. Sugar's early boxing career was marked by exhibition matches and 3-round spars, but it wasn't until 1882 that he stepped into the spotlight with a fight that would become legendary. The so-called prize fight in a chapel that was actually held in a deconsecrated chapel off Tavistock Square. The fight was set under the Marquess of Queensberry rules, which mandated the use of gloves. Although the match was stopped by police in the 3rd round, leading to Sugar's arrest, the use of gloves was a key aspect of the fight, as it was intended to be a legal bout under the new boxing rules. The infamous fight pitted Sugar against Jack Hicks, a veteran boxer nearly 3 decades his senior. Despite being a relative novice, Sugar was considered a good match for Hicks, who had a long history in bare-knuckle boxing. The match was highly anticipated, with a silver cup valued at £100 on the line. The fight itself was short-lived, lasting only 8.5 minutes before the police stormed in, arresting Sugar and several others. The event caused a sensation not just for its illicit nature, but also for the police raid that resulted in a trial where Sugar was charged with being the principal in a prize fight. In Victorian London, the charge of being the principal in a prize fight meant that an individual was accused of participating as one of the main combatants in an illegal bare-knuckle boxing match. But in this case, the police claimed that the gloves used were not standard padded gloves, and that Sugar had kicked Hicks while he was down, which was against the rules. Despite the fight being stopped by police in the third round, leading to Sugar's arrest, Hicks was not arrested, suggesting a possible setup. Still, Sugar was charged and sent to trial, but the trial revealed conflicting testimonies, with the police claiming rule violations and the defendants maintaining that the fight was conducted fairly under Queensberry rules. The outcome of the trial remains unclear. Sugar's boxing career continued after the Chapel fight, and he faced off against some of the biggest names of his time. In 1885, he fought English champion Jem Smith, a heavyweight who towered over Sugar at 5 feet 8 inches and 13 stone. Despite his smaller stature, Sugar occasionally competed in heavyweight matches, a testament to his skill and determination. As for his personal life, and despite how Sugar is portrayed in 1,000 Blows, he was a devoted family man. Needless to say, there was no unrequited love for another of the show's characters, Mary Carr, the Queen of the 40 Elephants, who I did a video about, and you can catch that at the end of this video. By the time Sugar began to make a name for himself in the boxing world in the late 1870s, he was already a father of 3 young boys. In 1876, at the age of 20, Henry had married his wife Anne, and the couple had quickly started a family. Their first son, James, was born approximately 10 months after their marriage, followed by 2 more sons, Joseph and Edward, over the next couple of years. In May 1882, just months after the Chapel fight, Anne gave birth to their 4th son, Arthur, on Brick Lane. This added a layer of responsibility to his life as he balanced his burgeoning boxing career with the need to provide for his growing family. The pressures of family life were evident during Sugar's trial following what was dubbed the prize fight in a chapel in 1882. When accused of kicking Jack Hicks while the older man was down, Sugar vehemently denied the allegations, exclaiming from the dock, "I have 3 little sons at home, and if any of them did anything like that, I hope they would die." This emotional outburst reveals not only Sugar's fierce defense of his honor, but also his deep concern for his family's reputation. He was a man who cared deeply about how his actions would reflect on his children, and the thought of his sons believing such accusations about him was clearly unbearable. This moment underscores the importance of family in Sugar's life and the weight of his responsibilities as a father. Despite his life's challenges, Sugar Goodson remained a respected figure in the boxing community. His son Edward "Ted" Goodson followed in his footsteps, becoming a professional boxer in the 1890s. This legacy of boxing excellence was a testament to Sugar's influence and the respect he commanded in the sport. Even in his later years, Sugar continued to be involved in boxing, attending the funeral of his old rival Jack Hicks in 1904. Hicks, who had challenged any man over the age of 70 to a fight in 19, passed away at the age of 78, and Sugar was there to pay his respects, a gesture that spoke to the camaraderie and mutual respect that existed among these early pioneers of the sport. Henry Sugar Goodson passed away on August 27, 1917, at his home in Chingford, Essex. His death was reported in the Sporting Life, a fitting tribute to a man who had spent much of his life in the ring. He was remembered not just as a boxer, but as a man who had overcome adversity and left a lasting legacy in the world of boxing.